The following podcast is presented by Hormone Logics. Discover your ageless health.
And now, part 2 of the Ascension Mentality Podcast.
Part 2 of Ascension Mentality, we're with Gillian Hughes, and we're talking to her about bodybuilding, weight loss, her business, all the things that she does. And
Gillian Hughes from Momshell Method.
Momshell Method in St. Louis, Missouri, right? Yeah, so before the break, we were talking about our supplement lines. We're just going to continue that. She was going to get into this interesting story about her branding and her name, so we'll kind of let you take the floor with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, people don't always understand when they see the spelling of it. They're like, is that mom's hell?
Oh.
Which I'm like, some days it is.
Yeah.
But no, I what it means, essentially is just that you can be, a confident hot mama,
right?
And still, take care of your kids and run your business and be a boss and all those things. So a mom that's a bombshell, essentially. But I've had so many people be like, oh, you shouldn't call yourself something else and train guys. And I'm like, no, I don't really want to. There's plenty of people that can help men. I don't need.
Yeah, and plus the best businesses are built around a niche. And I think that your story resonates so well with women, especially moms. It's just, that story makes so much sense. Now, would I be your ideal client? Probably not, but I think that's okay. It's like the whole point, right? You don't want to train men. Like you just said, there's enough.
There's a million bro bodybuilder.
Oh my God, there's so many.
Yeah. There's so many. And in the beginning, I would do anything. I was doing makeup sessions. I was doing posing classes. I was doing private personal training. I was training guys. I was training kids, like just anybody. And then, I know one of the principles is if you're just doing too many things, you can never do one of them really, really well.
Right.
And so niching down was really natural and easy for me, especially I think approaching my 40s when I'm 42. But I think that, a lot of women are like, well, I could never look at that. I'm 40. And I'm like, well, I'm 42. Well, I could never look at that. I have kids. Well, I have kids. Well, I can never look at that. I'm a single mom.
You're just eliminating all the bullshit. All the excuses are now gone.
Right. And I always say, why not you? Women will say, oh, I wish I had your dedication. And I'm like, I don't really have that. I have all the food noise and all the issues that everybody else is struggling with. I've just learned new habits and I can show you how to do that too. It's not, I don't think it's a skill to be able to follow along. I think it's just another muscle you need to build and, learning new habits and problems, not just giving up. I think giving up is a problem a lot of people need to get through. I don't know where I went with that. Sorry.
Well, before the break, we were talking about your supplement line, and you've got the supplements behind you on the shelf. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that relationship came to be? Is that something you were seeking out and kind of looking for? Did somebody approach you? What was the beginning there?
Yeah, so I was approached by a company that does white label supplements. And so they allow you to select from their formulas and create your own label so that I don't have to carry physical products in my home and ship them out. They're shipped right from the warehouse. And there's a lot of different companies that do this. I actually invested a good amount of money and time with another company that I didn't end up following through with. Learned a lot. It was an expensive mistake.
We call those learning experiences.
Right. We've had some of those.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You get an education.
I knew for sure I didn't want to be, designing and in the lab working with powders and formulas. It's just not something that coaching is what I love to do. And I just wanted to have one more thing that I could offer people because I just like to make things convenient. Where do you get this? Oh, here it is. Or where do I buy that? Here is this. How about this? I like to be able to be a resource for people. So having supplements is something I've always wanted to be able to do. And so when this came about, to be able to put my branding right on it and then really fine tune what the Momshell would be looking for because they have hundreds of different products that they offer. And, I was able to see different brand holders that had different lines. There's one guy and he's kind of my gosh, Liver King. Not him, but he does sort of the same thing where he only eats meat. He's like a total carnivore, and all his stuff is like just dudely and like super manly, and it's got like Sasquatches and Bigfoot all over the packaging. It's awesome. But he's with the company too. And so, each brand holder can kind of choose the avenues that they want to go. And so like really working in the space of like women's fitness, women's wellness, the line is all geared towards that. And it is pink, which again,
well, of course,
that was a bad choice. But again, there's plenty of scary supplements with like awful names, like insane and like psychopath. I'm like, oh my God.
War.
They talk about exploding and things like blown up.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's aggressive. Like one of my clients was like, I just got this new stuff that's called meth. I'm like,
meth?
What? And like, it's like a black bottle and it has this like scary writing on it.
Oh man.
I'm like,
oh boy.
I saw one that was like shaped like a bullet the other day. I was like,
nice.
okay.
I mean, I'd check that out, but I'm a dude. Like,
yeah, I know, right? I'm like, are those the results I'm going for?
so Gillian, when you're first kind of working with somebody that's interested in coaching, you've got your supplement line, and I'm sure you don't want to come off as like salesy, but I'm sure you also notice that maybe there are some issues with their supplement intake. Maybe they're taking the wrong supplements. Maybe they're not taking anything. And so how do you kind of bridge that gap of easing them into that conversation about supplements?
I mean, it's very like similar to what I talked about earlier with like changing someone's attitude or experience about supplements or carbs or cardio or whatever it might be. I always say there's a million ways to do things, but this is the method that works best for my clients. And I just gradually will try to help them find a less busy approach to everything. So if they're taking a huge tackle box of supplements every day, we really just start to go, okay, which ones do we really need and which ones, do we not? It's a different situation if the person is like prescribed these from like, some sort of either a doctor or a wellness professional. Like that, I'm not going to overstep, certainly outside of my scope as a coach, but I do really like to encourage people to come from the place of like, it's mostly what you eat, your lifestyle habits, minimizing stress, drinking water, eliminating toxins. Like those things are way more important than any supplement. And if they're not taking anything, we definitely just start with good food, good workouts, good rest, recovery, all of that. And then just a couple of things to supplement what they're already doing. My supplement approach has always been very minimal, mostly because it does come from an experience of having taken a lot. I used to have a fishing tackle box that I would just take with me everywhere I went, and I was on a clock taking all these things, and then I would run out and be like, oh, I can't run out of that. And it was madness. And you never really have confidence in the shape that you've built if you had to take 80 different things to get there. What was it? Was it? And what it really is probably the quality nutrition and the, effort and exercise. But
I mean, and the expense of that, right? Like they're so expensive. And then you're like, wait, is this actually working or not? I mean, I went through the same thing when I started bodybuilding. I was taking a lot more than I am now. And then I was like, at one point I was like, why am I doing this? What do I actually need? Hold on. And then I
remember watching you take like 30 pills.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was there because the coach was like, oh, you should do this and you should do this and you should do this. And so I kind of just like accumulated, not the one that I have now, but I just kind of like accumulated this stuff. And then I was like, whoa, this is first of all costing me a lot. Second of all, I don't know if I need any of it. And now it's way dialed back. It's like a probiotic, a women's multi, a vitamin D, like a couple things that I like know that my body needs, an omega, and that's kind of it.
Hey, Amy, we have a great sponsor on board, Hormone Logics.
Yeah, they're actually my hormone doctors, so I think they're pretty awesome. They do hormone replacement therapies to revive energy and strength so that you can continue to feel younger longer. They do bioidentical hormones, menopause therapy, andropause therapy.
They help men with things like ED, low T, sleep regulation.
They help you to have a more satisfying sex life, improved mood, improved cognition, healthier skin, bones, and hair.
How does somebody get in touch with Hormone Logics?
You can visit their website at www.hormonelogics.com. Stop missing out on living your best life and be the best version of yourself.
When you're getting into this conversation about supplements, what kind of background do you have to be able to recommend certain things? Is there a certification that you had to get or education that you had to obtain? I know you said you were in nursing, but that's probably a little bit different.
Yeah, so my nutrition certifications and my personal training certifications sort of like, cover being able to provide guidance. But again, you really have to be careful you don't overstep, especially when it comes to like hormone health. Somebody might recommend some hormone support without having any idea of what the person's blood work looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that can be really dangerous. So I tend to refer that to, allied health professionals, somebody who really specializes in that. Because even though I do have an expansive background in that and I can certainly render an opinion professionally, I don't like to do that because in my scope of practice, it's not something that I can do.
It probably would make your insurance agent a little bit unhappy to hear that you're like prescribing things. There's a difference between like an MD.
Yeah.
And then,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like the supplement industry is like massively unregulated. So, these things can interact and you might not know someone had an underlying health issue. Although I do screen people and make sure that they're healthy before they begin, you still don't know. So I just steer away from anything with a great deal of stimulants in it. I don't like people to take fat burners or diet pills, anything like that. I just want to keep people healthy and happy. And these recommendations are just to supplement what they're already doing. The big thing I really do help people with is like digestion, bloating, bathroom issues. And that's just being women. That's what we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is diet related though. So, it kind of just goes in line with my philosophy of minimal is best. And, protein, in my opinion, is more of like a food product than a supplement. And it's just part of, getting in the protein that you need. And a lot of women are only doing protein and a multi, and that's it.
Right. I love what you said about referring out. I mean, that was the game changer in my season this year is I was referred to a hormone specialist and it changed everything. Like, we're fixing my thyroid. My T was low. So now, it really helped me so much with my energy and stamina and then the build too. So, I mean, similar for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, you're putting in the work, you're going to the gym, you're lifting all the weights, you're eating right. But if your hormones aren't right, then you're like wasting your time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just have to be, really cognizant and really know about our bodies and know when something doesn't feel right. The fact of the matter is like we're all aging, right? So there's a lot of things in our environment that are different and we just have to, really be aware. And of course, being in a calorie deficit and overtraining as we do for our sport can take a toll. So just really being smart about it. I think that's important.
Back to your branding, it's called Momshell. I'm just curious, like how you coach women to kind of get over that guilt of self-care, like doing something for themselves, as a mom when they're supposed to be like hyper focused on their kids. I feel like that's kind of cultural as well. So what do you say to people about that?
Well, it's interesting because I just seen a quote, a week ago, I think it was from Ed Milet, and he said that, not taking care of yourself as a parent is a form of child abuse. And I thought that's aggressive, but is that ever true? Because I know for me, when I was battling with depression, I didn't have the energy to, have fun with my kids. I didn't, have that get up and go. I didn't want to plan stuff. I was just basically going through the motions and then that's not good for them. I think I've seen the opposite where, there are women that become very obsessed with either competing or with their lifestyle. I think that's a completely different issue. Those people probably have some stuff they need to work through professionally, but in my, area where I'm helping women lose weight, I really just help them to find balance. And, there are ways to be able to fit in the time for your workouts and, still take care of your family. I think the one thing a lot of women feel the worst about is not having some sort of a treat with their kids. They wanted cupcakes and I don't know if I ever as a kid was like upset that my mom didn't have a cupcake with me. Now, certainly it was my birthday and we had cake, but it's just about prioritizing and then in how you speak to your children about what you're doing. Like we don't say, well, mommy's on a diet, mommy's fat, mommy needs to lose weight. Mommy's working out and, this is what my body needs to be healthy. So I think it's when somebody takes this on, most of the time they have support. Otherwise, I don't think that they would reach out. But if they don't have support, something we talk about right away in my onboarding questionnaire, with these women. If they don't have support, then it's just a matter of like, okay, we need to have a town hall meeting at home and explain why this is a priority and how it's going to take teamwork as far as supporting, but it's ultimately on the mom to try to juggle the schedules. And I always find too, like, using your time smart is really important. And a lot of times people just don't have that skill. They don't take lists. They procrastinate too long doing things. Like, simplify, make things easier for yourself so that getting in your workouts and getting in your food shopping and all of that just happens more naturally. If you're living in chaos, it won't happen for you. So we really start with just trying to get a good schedule together and start slow too. I think that's another thing. You know, some people think, oh, I'm going to work 7 hours a week. I'm going to work out every single day, and I'm going to eliminate all the sugar, no more alcohol. And I'm like, whoa. They're going from like nothing to like something really extreme. Let's get 3 workouts on a week.
Yeah.
You know, let's just, you know, minimize. Let's do this. Let's take a slow approach. And once they start to have that confidence, okay, I did that, then they can, you know, do other things. It's a bit of a process
Baby
to get
steps
all the way over here where you're,
right,
you know, doing what we do for competing. But I also think like there's no reason why any woman couldn't do that. It's just, you know, if they're starting over here with, you know, ground level, not having any of that structure, and it just takes time to get to where they can do it.
Yeah, a lot of just like simple behavioral modification.
So Gillian, I heard you say
organized.
say that you started your company about how many years ago? I think 13, you said?
Yeah, so 2010 is like when I had my first official client.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so your business has grown to the point where you offer coaching, you talk about supplements. Can you go kind of run through the list of all the things that your business kind of helps women with?
Yeah. So I have a large volume of lifestyle clients that I'm working with, and most of them are weight loss. I do have a couple that are, you know, just focused on reducing cholesterol through better habits. And I've got competitors that I coach to compete in the bodybuilding space, mostly figure wellness and bikini competitors. The supplement company, I stepped away from doing makeup. I am a makeup artist, but that's not a service that I'm just providing anymore. Again, like niching down to kind of what I focus on. And then the company went mostly virtual in 2020. Obviously, things were changing in the world, and we all had to pivot. And I went from having like a large volume of clients in my office to all virtual. And so some people have transitioned back to in office. I have a lot of my competitors will come to my studio to do some posing, but most of my clients are virtual, and I do that through an app. So that's been a big business change too.
That's really exciting. And so as you've kind of grown this business, you know, over the last 12 or 13 years, you've probably identified, you know, a lot of different gaps that your client base really needs to be supported in. And then you filled that. One of them is the supplements. And so my question is, as you continue to grow, I mean, you're entrepreneurial minded. Something tells me you're not just going to like stop having good ideas. You know, what do you have on the horizon?
That's a fun question.
Well, I do want to take the company and grow it outside of sort of the Midwest. That's, you know, one of my sort of immediate goals is to really grow this brand and be able to help women across the country. In some of the recent business training that I've been doing, it's really shown me how unique this is to have something specifically for moms and busy women. And so, yeah, I just, that's my big goal right now, bringing on coaches, growing the brand, and, you know, getting out there and helping more women.
That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's a heck of a story too. I mean, especially from where you said you came from, you know, you were like not really sure about starting this company. You were doing nursing and that wasn't really fulfilling. So high five. Good job.
Yeah. A scary transition, but I think, you know, I always thought I'd go back. Like when I left nursing, I'd, you know, done so many different areas, critical care, office nursing. My last job, I was working with an interventional cardiologist. And I loved it, but I took a risk and I said, okay, well, I guess if you want the island, you got to burn the boat. That's what I did. But I kept all my certifications just in case. And I really thought, like, when the pandemic hit, I was like, this is it. I'm going to have to go back to nursing. But I had so many people just desperate for support because they didn't want to lose sight of their fitness journey because of, you know, what was going on in the world. And so I went straight to work creating home workout programs and being able to do things virtually with people. And I stayed really, really, really busy and never went back. So, although it's good to have a plan B, I always kind of, it's just there, but I hope to never have to go back. But it's a good background though. And I think, being able to say that you spent that time getting a degree and spending time in nursing and seeing a lot, I think that sometimes gives people like a bit of confidence versus just like, I got fit and decided to help other people get fit,
What I love about your story, Gillian, is that it's obviously a passion project. Like it comes from something so internal that's just going to keep driving you, like some people start businesses and they're like, I don't know why. Like, I just thought that the world needed this, but you're like, no, I knew the world needed this because of something that I went through. And I think that just shines in your brand and obviously shines in when you talk about it. So that's
I remember the
awesome.
first time that Amy told me about your company. I think it was probably about a year ago. She's like, I met this really amazing woman. Her name's Gillian. She owns this company called Momshell. I was like, whoa, that branding's awesome.
Yeah, you like the brand.
I do. I think it totally makes sense.
It's so cool. It is cool.
It does exactly what good branding is supposed to do. If you're not a mom, you're probably not going to be interested. And that's okay. That's what you want. And if you want to be a Momshell, right, which the play on words, I totally get. Love it. Like, I'd want to know more. I mean, I'm not a Momshell, but like, Amy was like, oh, look at all these this website and social. And speaking of website and social, Gillian, could you kind of throw it out there? How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So, I have my Instagram is probably the place where most of my transformations are shared. So I've got the business site, which is Momshell_method_fitness on IG. And then my personal is STL_Momshell. And they're different. I've done some modeling, and I think that branding in itself of just, being, in my 40s and in shape and being a mom and a business owner, like, even though I don't directly mention that I coach, when people kind of see, they're like, okay,
they want to know more
story here.
Yeah. How'd this happen?
So, and that was something I've battled with too, of people telling me I should stop doing that. And, is it good for the brand if you're doing modeling? And I think,
I think the branding's great.
People to know that they can do it too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, working hard on your physique and having, photos to capture that. And, I think that even if somebody wouldn't necessarily do that themselves, they see another woman doing that and it's empowering. And if you don't like it, then you're not for me.
Then move on.
Yeah. You can save your energy for people that are your ideal client.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up for today, but thank you so much for coming on the Ascension Mentality Podcast. You were really fun to talk to, and we love digging into business owners and athletes. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Gillian.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Have you ever been stuck in life? Have I got a book for you? Ascension Mentality, written by Amy Wilhelmi, public speaker, athlete, and licensed therapist. In her book, Amy takes us through a raw and vulnerable journey as she unravels from childhood trauma and navigates her career, marriage, and parenthood. She takes us on a deep dive into her life and how, when emotions are left unprocessed, they seep into adulthood as she tries to navigate the task of growing up. You cannot change what you did. You cannot change what has happened to you, but you can change how you feel about it. You can let go of what is holding you back. When you process and unwind trauma, you don't lose what made you strong. You only lose what no longer serves you. To ultimately be a better human, friend, parent, partner, coworker, daughter or son, and leader. It's time to let go. Ascension Mentality.
Today we met with Gillian Hughes of the Momshell Method. She was an amazing entrepreneur. Today's episodes were super fun because not only are they in the athlete community, they're bodybuilders, but they're also business owners. So she's just got a lot going on, and I loved her story about just empowering moms, especially that super small niche of people. So
I was super encouraged that she likes to stick to her guns. And when people want to tell her how to do her business or how she should be, changing it,
Branding
or the branding
it, or
is wrong
whatever.
or whatever. Like she's basically
She's like,
F you.
no.
That's not how this is going to work.
I mean, I think we've both experienced that, like you just, had a branding issue where somebody told you that you shouldn't be doing that. And similar, I'm writing this book and it's called Ascension Mentality. And the original editors were like, why are you calling it that? What does it even mean? And I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. That's what I'm calling it. So you do have to kind of stick to your guns.
Yeah, I think the Momshell's perfect though. It totally personifies exactly her brand.
I love
perfect.
it. It's such a cute name.
I would
And
never change it if I were her.
she's another ball of energy. We've had two energetic guests today, and it's just been a really fun experience. So Amy Wilhelmy with the Ascension Mentality Podcast.
I am Matt Wilhelmy with the Ascension Mentality Podcast.
This is Amy Wilhelmy. I'm the owner of Balance Wellness Collective. It's a holistic and integrative mental health practice located in St. Charles, Illinois, and telehealth, all of Illinois. We see individuals, adults, families, children, and adolescents. We are primarily family focused and also do divorce mediation. It is a mind, body, and spirit approach to care. You can find us at www.balancewellnesscollective.com.
This has been an Ascension Mentality Podcast. Hit subscribe for all the latest episodes, and for more information, visit ascensionmentality.com. Ascension Mentality, making mental gains.